Hi, everyone. I'm Louise Barrington, the director of the VIS East Moot. And on behalf of the entire VIS team, Deputy Director Sherlyn Tung, Manager Lynn Thorburn, and Sponsorship and Media Manager Maricel Somerville, I want to welcome you heartily to this session for arbitrators of the 19th VIS East Moot and the third virtual VIS East. This year, we are delighted to be partnering with Hong Kong's arbitration and mediation platform, EBRAM, who will be producing the argument sessions with us and providing the technical assistance that we need for the virtual VIS East. Now, for today's meetings, I have 4 points to address. First, I want to thank you for volunteering. Your time is valuable. We know that, and we know there are lots of things to do in these very busy times. And we are very, very appreciative of your taking the time to lend your expertise and your professional judgment and experience to helping the students learn in the very best possible way. As you know, the VIS East is an educational exercise in the form of a competition, the emphasis being on education, but it's the competition that gets them here, of course. So what we need to do is make sure that the hallmark of the VIS and VIS East is maintained by having people like you, experienced professionals, give them feedback and guidance about their presentations. In learning by doing, these students are working for 6 months. They're learning to read critically, to research, to spot issues, to draft, and of course, oral advocacy. And that's why you're here. It's you that is going to give them the kind of feedback they need to improve and make themselves even better before they go out into the world and practice. So to assist you in your task, we've got a two-part presentation today. First of all, the colleagues from EBRAM are going to take you through the technical aspects of this year's VIS East. And even if you've participated before, we ask that you listen carefully because there are some changes from last year. And the most important one being scoring, when we'll get to that later on. And then we'll be taking some questions about that. Secondly, we have a video which was made last year by our Deputy Director, Sherlyn, and another former Mootie, Eric Moot. And they will take you through the procedure, including the pleading, the timing, the scoring, etc., to ensure that you give the students the best possible hearing. Both their presentation and the video are going to be available online for you to consult at any time between now and your hearings, starting right after this presentation. Third, this is my last point, but it's very, very important. If you have not been in recently to your arbitrator webpage, please go today and update your availability. The reason for that is that our system doesn't recognize you until you have actually put in your availability and the maximum number of arbitrations that you're willing to do for us. Please make that number as high as possible, because as usual, we are short of arbitrators and we need every arbitrator we can get to do as many as you possibly can. So the link for the presentation of Sherlyn and Eric's video is going to come up in the chat, which you can find usually at the bottom of your page so that you can copy it. There it is. All right, please click here. And while you're doing that, I will simply thank you for attending, and I wish you a very good moot. and I will turn it over to EBRAM's Erica and Alex and Frida to talk you through the technical parts. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Frida. I'm going to talk about the role of arbitrators.
Frida, can you be louder?
Okay. Arbitrators are requested to act the way they would act in a real arbitration, taking into account that the visits moot is an educational exercise, which include introduce the tribunal, check on counsel's agreement regarding timing, rebuttal, agree on the order of presentation, conduct the arbitration in accordance with visits moot rules, provide brief feedback following the oral arguments in the general rounds, score the oral advocates and provide scores to host managers before leaving the section. At least 3 days before the moot competition. We read the rules of the visit moot, log in to your arbitrator account, and double check the details of the section you have been assigned. For example, time, schools, hearing from Zoom link details. Arbitrators should check their assigned hearings as soon as possible after the visits moot administration informs them that the schedules have been released in order to confirm whether or not they have any conflicts. Download and install the latest international version of Zoom. Find a suitable venue, a quiet, private with a stable internet connection. Prepare your device for the hearing. A desktop or laptop device with the specification stipulated below is strongly recommended. A wire connection is more stable than Wi-Fi. You may also use a smartphone or tablet as a backup. Days of oral arguments. Log into the link assigned to you and enter the VC room 15 minutes in advance. Change your username to reflect your relevant information as seen below. Please set out your role and name. For example, if you are an arbitrator, just write arbitrator and then a hyphen and then your name. And you may refer to page 6 and page 7 of this manual on how to sign in to the EBRAM Zoom video conference and how to change your username. Once the host manager allows you to access the main room, you will receive a prompt. Important note: if for any reason you are delayed or unable to attend your scheduled hearing, notify the visit moot administration immediately through email. Sign in. Follow the access link provided to you in your team account. Every argument has a different access link. Change of username. Click Participant. Click on your existing username and select Rename. Input your role and name according to page 5 of this menu and click Save. It is particularly important that arbitrators understand the instructions in the following pages, which is page number 8 to number 10 for the microphone and speaker configuration, and page 11 for how to join a bigger room. Audio configuration. If you have been admitted to the main room, Select a microphone to be used. Remember to select the headphone to be used. Click on the microphone icon to mute your microphone. Join the breakout room. The host manager will invite you to join your hearing room for your section. Click Join Breakout Room.
Around 5 minutes before the hearing section, after you have entered the main room, the host manager will direct you and your co-arbitrators to the hearing room for internal discussion. Such discussion may include introducing yourselves, agreeing the chair and hearing procedure, and appointment of one co-arbitrator to monitor the time and to record arguments. Please note that during the oral hearing, the host manager will remind the tribunal at 60 minutes for each hearing and send a chat message to the arbitrators saying 5 minutes to end. During the hearing, the tribunal records and reminds the oralist of the time they have used to avoid any unfair allocation of time. Please also note that each section is allotted 2 hours, which must include the oral arguments, deliberations, and also feedback. The host manager will send teams to the hearing room once the tribunal has finished its discussion. So during the hearing session, the chair will briefly introduce the panel, confirms the teams and the oralist names and roles, and open the hearing. The chair asked both teams to confirm that they are alone in their room and are not in communication with any person except their co-counsel during the hearing. The chair shall also reiterate that no part of the session may be recorded, pictured, or anything similar. The time begins to run when the first oralist begins to present. Each hearing should last 60 minutes in total. Each school should speak for 30 minutes, deciding how to split the time for each oralist. Secondly, keep track of the time used by each oralist. Ensure no one goes over time without permission. Don't automatically extend. You will need to give equal time to the other team. Lastly, ensure that your microphone is muted when you are not speaking. You may also refer to page 10 of this manual for how to mute your microphone. So after the teams has complete the arguments, the teams will remain in the hearing room. Arbitrators will be directed to a breakout room by the host manager to discuss performance and general score levels and to submit their score sheets. Once the tribunal has complete deliberations, they will be requested to submit their score sheets via the link provided by the host managers. Special notes. Please note that the tribunal must not leave the breakout room until his or her score sheets has been submitted. The host manager will confirm receipt of the score sheet. Once the score sheets are complete, the host manager will send the tribunal back to the main room to provide feedback to the teams. Please note that do not inform the teams of any scores or indication of who won. Everyone needs to leave the hearing room after the tribunal has given their comments. VC's Moot will announce the 32 teams advancing to the next round on Thursday, that is 31st of March, at approximately 10:30 to 10:45 p.m. Hong Kong time. The results will be announced on the VC's Moot's social media account. Details will be provided in due course. As for important notes in emergency contexts, if anything inappropriate happens during the round, the tribunal should attempt to eliminate the disturbance without interrupting the flow of the oral hearing. In any emergency, if the host managers cannot resolve the problem, they will call in the directors of the VC's Moot. Please be punctual. An arbitrator who is not present 15 minutes after the argument's start time must be replaced in order to allow the students sufficient time for their arguments. Should a replacement not be possible, there is a risk that the student cannot plead. It is therefore absolutely imperative that you show up on time. Inform the VC's Moot administration in advance of any issues, or find a suitable replacement in advance of the round. During the hearing, if your connection is lost due to a technical issue, try to re-establish connection as soon as possible using the original or your backup device. The remaining arbitrators shall wait for a maximum of 3 minutes and then continue to conduct the online oral hearing. If you're unable to reconnect, the hearing will proceed with 2 arbitrators. You may score the oralist you have heard. The others will receive average marks moderated by the directors of VC's Moot. In case of emergency during the hearing section, for technical issue, please contact Ben from EBRAM. For any issues relating to content and rules, please contact the contact persons from VC's Moot. For any pre-event technical issues relating to the Zoom video conferencing system, you may contact EBRAM International Online Dispute Resolution Center at case@ebram.org. So next steps, the below link will take you to a helpful video from the VC's Moot on tips for arbitrators during the oral arguments. For more details and updates, you can scan the QR code below. So we are going to show you a video. And this video is just to show you how the participants switch between breakout rooms, and it is not a real case simulation. After all the participants have entered the main chamber, the host manager will first direct arbitrator to the hearing room for 5 minutes discussion. The discussion may include introducing yourselves, agreeing the chair and hearing procedure, and appointment of one co-arbitrator to monitor the time and to record the argument. So at the time when the arbitrators finish the discussion, the host manager will invite the 2 competing teams to the hearing room. Time begins to run when the first oralist begins to present. Each hearing should last 60 minutes in total. Each school should speak for 30 minutes, deciding how to split the time for each oralist. So after the competing teams have presented their arguments, the team will remain in the hearing room, and the arbitrators will be directed to a breakout room to deliberate the performance of the oralist and submit the scores online or directly to the host managers. After 10 minutes deliberation, the host manager will send arbitrators back to the hearing room to provide comments on the oralist's performance. So the host manager will move the arbitrators back to the main room, back to the hearing room. All the people in the hearing room will leave after receiving comments. So I think that's it for today's demonstration on the Zoom VC system.
So now we will take some questions if there are any. We've had some in the chat already.
I have one that I accidentally said we would answer live, so Louise, we're going to answer this one live. The question was, the score sheets, will they be submitted by the chair, or each arbitrator will submit their scores? And the answer is each arbitrator will submit their scores in, and Louise might correct me because apparently we would prefer that you do not leave your deliberation session until your scores are submitted to the host manager. Anything for you to add, Louise?
Excuse me, could whoever is not muted other than Shirley, please mute now because we've got a lot of interference. Thank you. Shirley, do you want to continue?
I feel like the interference was probably me. But can you
Oh,
hear
it
me now?
is.
You know the answer. I'm going to let you answer.
All right. The question was, how do the scoring sheets come in? And they're to be filled out by each individual arbitrator and returned and submitted. And once each of the arbitrators has done that, then the host manager will say this is fine, and that's if there is a difficulty, if someone has a difficulty doing it online, there's a possibility of actually just holding it up to the host manager and having them take a screenshot of it. But that's really a backup that we hope we don't have to use. Other questions?
And so somebody has asked whether or not, and I think this question is for Abraham, is it possible to have a timer on the screen?
Is it possible to have a timer on the screen? The hosts can have a timer. We'll look into that with Ibrahim.
Another question.
Any other questions?
Yes, so will arbitrators get copies of the team's memorials?
The team's memorials should be available to each of the arbitrators who are judging those teams.
The next question is,
Shirley,
will we receive the form of score sheets by email before the hearing?
we're going to send you the form of the score sheet before the hearing so that you know what to expect. It's basically a template so that you know how you'll fill it in, and it will look something like the score sheets that you've seen before, the yellow sheets that we've used in the past, but obviously quite different because of the fact that it's going to be done online. Would it be possible to have a timer? Okay, it looks like from the hosts. Are there any other questions? I'm just looking to see if there are any questions we haven't.
Well, so Louise, how will the scoring differ from the previous years?
The scoring will not differ from the previous years. It's exactly the same. Each arbitrator will give each oralist a score between 50 and 100 points. So no less than 50, no more than 100. And the three scores are all submitted separately to the administration, and the system adds them up. So that doesn't change. It's simply the way that they are submitted it is changing, and that's going to be done electronically. In other words, you fill it out and you click a button and it will go to where it needs to go.
Is there any video record of VM, the Moot of last year, to refer to about the procedure of the arbitration?
Is there any video record from last year about the procedure? There is a video of the finals, which will give you an example of a procedure, a good one. The final arguments are basically the same procedure exactly as the other arguments, except that there tends to be less slippage in terms of time, because most people by then are extremely careful about the timing. We would like you to be very careful about the timing too.
So this question is a bit already answered, but reiterated. Can we please be provided access to the score sheet a day or two prior to the rounds such that we can familiarize ourselves with it?
Well, we can send them out quite soon. In fact, we can send them out to everybody when at the time that you've got your assignments. As I said, it will be a template, but it'll give you an idea of, if you haven't done this before, it'll give you an idea. And if you've done it before, they make good, good places to take notes too.
Louise, how many arbitrators are you short of at this time? This is the question.
Well, that depends. If everybody who's signed up will do 7 arbitrations, we have no problem whatsoever.
So basically, please, David, you asked this question. Anybody else that can sign up, we are more than happy to have them. Next question. Are there any rules on how we will rank, for example, 10 on body language, 30 on legal arguments, etc.?
That's a very good question. And the answer is there are no numerical values attached to any of the various aspects of the presentation that we evaluate. We tried to do that once and it was a disaster. So we have gone back to the tried and true, old and familiar, just give them a mark, a mark based on your overall perception of those things. When we send out the scoring sheet template to you, on the back of it is some guidelines for things to look for, but don't think that it's 30% for this and 20% for this, because it just does not work that way. It's really basically, you look at all of those things and you come to a general appreciation of that person's quality and turn it into a number. If we don't have a QR scan soft installed, will updates be sent? Updates, I'm not quite sure what kind of updates.
No, I think it's because the last page of this is QR codes. But no, you guys can always access us on our website, www.cisgmoot.org. We've got
and your own page, of course, your own account.
Correct. Louise, in case of a truncated tribunal, is there a cutoff time for starting the hearing?
15 minutes. So if someone is not there at the time they're supposed to be there, let's say you've got a hearing at 10 o'clock and you don't show up at 10 o'clock, we will immediately start scurrying around looking for a replacement. If you show up in the 15 minutes, then obviously you will go in. If we found someone before then that person will start. So if it goes 15 minutes and we haven't been able to find anybody to replace you, then we will simply go on at the 15-minute break, at the 15-minute time to start. So if you're late, you may end up not being able to do the argument because we replaced you. If we haven't replaced you in 15 minutes and you haven't shown up, then it will be truncated and we will have to, for the first time in the history of the Vice East, have a truncated tribunal. We've never actually had one before, but we are expecting it could happen this year.
That is all for now. Any more questions?
Any other questions? How would I know if my availability has been accepted? if you're available, we accept your availability. The availability is you telling us when you can judge. So once you've been accepted as an arbitrator, then you should immediately let us know what your availability is if you haven't already done so. And then, because once you've got the availability, and you've also told us the maximum number of hearings you can do, that's when the system recognizes you as someone to put into a space. Without those two pieces of information, the system doesn't recognize you and you won't get any arguments.
Louise,
For those who didn't mark with written submissions, will we get a briefing about the moot scenario? The moot scenario, the problem is online, and you do need to read that. It's about 35 pages long, including the exhibits. And you should read that as a basic preparation for the hearings. There is an arbitrator's analysis, which is, I believe, now been sent out to all of the arbitrators. I may be wrong there. I know everyone who has read memoranda has it. And I believe that the coaches all have it as well. And the teams, the coaches should have it as well. But yes, it is available. If you don't have it, we'll send it to you. David says, I have it, it's been out for some time. Yes, it's been out since December.
So Louise, one more question is, where's the video going to be made available?
I don't know what you said.
Oh, sorry, the recording of today's session, that should be available.
Yes, yes. Today's session, what we're doing right now, plus the session which Sherlyn and Eric prepared, both are going to be available for anyone to consult whenever they want through the website, I guess.
Any other questions, guys? I have already conveyed my availability, but have not been assigned any written submission, and I have not received any further correspondence from your side.
Please be patient. We would love to have been able to tell you your arguments, but as I said, we have so many arbitrators that haven't put their availability in, or their maximum number of arguments when necessary for the system to recognize them, that the system just won't work yet. It's like priming a pump. You have to give it enough information to work, and then it will actually work. So we have to get all of the arbitrators to provide those two things so that we can get the assignments made. And then we'll probably be doing that in the next day or two. But then we have to look over them manually to make sure that we haven't, if we can, we have to try to make sure that no one's arguing at 4 o'clock in the morning. We don't promise, but we're going to do our very best.
And also, just to confirm, written submissions have already been reviewed. That's why if you've registered after a certain deadline, that's why you weren't reached out to review written submissions.
Oh, the written submissions, sorry.
Louise, one more question. Is there some way to remind us of the times we signed up for? If you want, I could take that one. It's the website.
Sure, yeah.
It's just, please log back, Berlin, log into your arbitrator account, tick the top right menu button, and you should be able to see an option for availability.
Is that also where they can change it, Sherlyn?
Yes, ma'am. Please change it. Please update your conflicts. Please put everything in there. Please, as Louise requested, enter 7, 10 arbitrations that you're willing to arbitrate.
Or 15? We don't ask anybody to do more than 4 a day.
Okay, so do we have any other questions, guys? So far, no. Elijah and I have a conversation going on, quick Q&A. Okay, so I don't think there's any further questions. We're going to take this up. Nothing. Okay. We take this opportunity to thank you guys again. I'm going to interject really quickly. And do a friendly reminder that if you have an issue with your arbitrator account, please email us at info@cisgmoot.org with a print screen so that we can actually look into the situation. That's all for me, Louise.
Well, I think then that is all there is. We've finished what we need to do. Now I suggest that everybody do one of two things, in whichever order you like, but do both of them. First of all, watch the video that you just got your link for from Sherlyn and Eric. And secondly, tell us about your availability and your maximum number of arbitrations. And so with that, thank you again very, very much on behalf of the Vis East Moot team and all of the students that you're going to be seeing for the wonderful work that you will be doing at the Vis East Moot in just a few more weeks.